I want to make one thing very clear here, since people are going around saying that Kafka is going to be mid and she's not going to be that good. You know, the typical Hoyoverse community bullshit that you hear from all these kids that don't actually know a goddamn thing about these characters' kits. Yeah, passive aggressive. Y'all know it's in my nature. Kafka has the potential to be the strongest DPS in the game. Yep, I'm saying that proudly and confidently. And she has the potential to break the entire meta. Potential is the word I want you to pay close attention to. This is going to depend on whether she can re-trigger, because it's still with uncertainty that I don't know if she can re-trigger break effect dots. Now the crazy thing is she should be able to re-trigger break effect dots, because the wording says that she is going to re-trigger all dot sources. And that is a direct quote, all dot sources. And break effect dot from wind, shock, bleed, and fire, that is a dot source by definition. So if she cannot do that, that is really going to piss me off. However, in this video, I'm going to paint the picture vividly clear as to why I'm saying she has the potential to be the best DPS in the game and even out DPS single target scenarios better than Seela can. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I want you guys to understand is that I'm using Sampo for this test. My Sampo was taking up to level 80 because I'm cultured, and his traces are only level 2s. He has pretty much no investment. Remember what I told you guys, break effect scales with level, so as long as Sampo is level 80, you can still see and get the idea of how strong break effect can be. He's going to be rocking the Thief of the Shooting Meteor, basically this set right here. He gets 32% break effect from this set. He's also going to be rocking a break effect rope. Then, if that's not enough, he's also going to be rocking the Nihility 5-star light cone that's supposed to be coming with this 1.3 update. I believe that was unveiled already, hopefully. But even if you don't put that on Sampo, the free-to-play light cone is also going to yield similar results because it scales off of break effect as well, and it even increases his dot damage. So you can actually build a broken free-to-play dedicated break effect Sampo with this entire scenario. So with all that being said, I want you guys to see that he has 108.4% break effect. This is important to the math I'm about to show you, as well as the receipt footage that I've already done. The craziest thing about all this is Sampo's missing 40% more break effect, and he needs to be way more invested. This needs to be taken up to level 8 at the bare minimum. His attack needs to be filled out. His relics still need to be filled up to the brim. All that is going to increase his regular dot damage, but the break effect 40% is going to increase his break effect initial damage and dot damage as well. Okay, I wanted you guys to see this so that when we go into the math and the receipt, you'll see that I'm not pulling any of this out of my ass, because apparently everyone else is allowed to show you spreadsheets without actually proving anything. For whatever reason, I'm the only TC that people want to put a magnifying glass up my ass when I say things, which is perfectly fine because your boy is capable of backing that up, no problem. So allow me to bring up everything so that you guys aren't confused. So as always, just listen to what I'm saying and everything will make much sense. Here's the formula for how you calculate initial break damage with wind shear, and then here's the formula for how you calculate wind shear break dot damage. This is going to be the defense multiplier. In this scenario, we're using Silverwolf and Sampo. Okay, this is going to be the break effect I just showed you in game. He has 108.4% break effect, so that's that multiplier. And this here is literally the formula for wind element in particular when doing the wind shear break dot. It's 3 against an elite or boss. You get 3 stacks of wind shear times the level multiplier. And this is the number for the level multiplier. Up here is going to be the same exact thing I just explained to you, except it's a little bit different for initial break damage. This is the number that I get once I plug in all the correct numbers. And I did plug in all the correct numbers. This here is my Silverwolf's all type resistance multiplier. Which is 1.09 because she's only level 7. And this over here is going to be the initial break multiplier formula right over here. And then finally, again, break effect damage. Anyways, I got 24,921 after putting in the correct numbers. But when I went inside of the game got 26,201. Stay with me here, guys. I promise all of this shit's going to make sense. The game, for whatever reason, though, is dealing more damage than what I calculated, which is a positive thing, but I don't understand why it's such a usually when I calculate things, I'm less than 1% off from the actual damage, or close to 1%, or right on the money. But 5%, if I'm 5% off, that means I made an error somewhere, which I promise you I did not. Or the game made some changes and nobody knows about them. But whatever reason, it's a positive change because the game is dealing more damage than what I calculated instead of less. Now, when we come down here, it's the same scenario, except on the wind shear break dot damage, it's only a 1.6% damage from what I've calculated, damage increase. Now let's go ahead and go into the game and show the receipt so that you guys know what I'm talking about. We're gonna come here to, I think around the 40-second mark is where I had this. Okay, so my Sampo is about to break this guy's shield. And we'll go ahead and pause it once it happens. All right, so here is the break effect damage. 26,201 was what he did. Let's go ahead and go back a little bit so that you guys could see all of the multipliers that were up. Okay, so I went ahead and brought up all of the debuffs so that you guys could see the math that I calculated. This is pretty much for the people who know how to do the math so that they can see I didn't pull any of this shit out of my ass. So he has 2 defensive debuffs right there. And then he has the all type damage resistance 9% down here. And again, my Sampo also has 108.4% break effect. So when you plug all those numbers in, there's the dot vulnerability, but that doesn't matter on initial break damage. When you plug all those numbers in, you're gonna get 24,921, but for whatever reason, the game is dealing more damage than what I calculated. Again, I can't even explain that discrepancy because it's too big of a discrepancy to to make a hypothesis. I don't know. Anyways, the next scenario, wind shear break dot damage. I calculated 19,815. The game got 20,129. So let's go ahead and come over here. I'm going towards the end here. I'm showing my Sampo's build so that people can see everything that I have going on with my Sampo. 108.4%. There's the break effect damage. But yeah, that's I'm just showing the receipt. And then finally, when we actually attack, we have to go back. Here we go. Let's go ahead and pause this. Bloom. So that's the regular dot damage. Again, my Sampo is dog shit in terms of building up for the regular dot damage. Once he gets fully invested, his traces are level 8, and then he gets his relics filled up to the brim, all that good stuff. This is going to be close to 8 to 10k in damage. It's actually probably going to be leaning towards 10k. It's this because he's not built at all. And then there's the 20,129. Let's rewind that back one more time. There it is, 20,129, and then there's the regular dot and there's the wind shear break dot. So when we go and minimize this and we look at this, again, that's what the game got, that's what I calculated. So again, this is positive. The game's dealing more damage than what I calculated. We take those. Finally, we can get into the juicy stuff here. Let's go to the next slideshow. So this is when I add in the 40% break effect from the 5-star Nihility Light Cone, or 32% if you have the free-to-play S5. Fermata, I believe is the name of that. His initial break damage is going to turn into 31,000, where it was only dealing 26,000 on the previous slide. It's going to turn into 32,000 if we use the same method of the discrepancy in damage. So that's the increase there. Finally, once we build our Sampo up and we increase his ult up to 30%, which means we have to crown our Sampo's ult, and then we take our Silver Wolf up so that she's dealing more damage. This is going to be the new dot damage you can expect from Sampo in that exact same scenario. It's 26,565 dot damage and 32,543 initial break damage. The reason this is important is because Kafka is supposed to be able to re-trigger all dot sources. So if she's re-triggering all dot sources, this damage is going to get re-triggered 2 times, which is absolutely nuts. But I do want to be clear here. This is a scenario with Silver Wolf ulting on the single target. This is a single target scenario. Silver Wolf ults on them, applies her debuffs. Sampo ults on them, applies his debuffs. And then Kafka ults and then pops her skill to re-trigger both the regular dot and the wind shear break dot of Sampo, right? When that happens in that one single turn, how much damage can we be looking at? That's what I wanted to get to with you guys. Because if she is capable of re-triggering wind or break effect dots in addition to the regular dots, this is the kind of damage you can expect her to do. What I want you guys to know is that there's a possibility that that the skill does not have 100% damage amplification of the dots that it's re-triggering. There is a chance. All right, there's a chance. So do not take this literal, because 36,565 times 3 would be a bit off in terms of the actual accurate multipliers. But it does paint the picture for you guys to see. If she re-triggers his dot 2 more times, he's going to be dealing 109,695 damage. And then the initial break damage on top of this is going to bring that to 140k. And then Kafka's dots are also triggering on top of this as well. She's triggering all dot sources. So let's say Kafka's dot is dealing 20k and she triggers that twice as well. That's an additional 40k. So now we're sitting at 180,000 damage, and we have not even calculated how much damage she does with her ult and her skill to that target as well, and her follow-up attack. This is all in one single turn. We're going over 200k if you consider all of this. Do you see what I mean in terms of the potential of Kafka's absurd damage if she's able to trigger the break dot in addition to the other dots? Now, the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is, even if she's not able to trigger the break dot, that's going to be a 50k damage, 50 to 60k less damage knocked off, or I'd say 50k honestly. If you take away 50k and she's doing 200k currently, well, now she's doing 150k, which is still in the ballpark of what Scylla is doing, a fully stacked E0 Scylla, probably with her light comp. 150,000 damage is generally around the damage she's doing. Now I'm gonna have the Scylla nerds coming in. Oh, my Scylla does 170. My Scylla does 190. Shut up, bro. Who cares? Same ballpark of damage, but Kafka is also putting that dot on every single unit's head on the field. So she's not just dealing Scylla single target damage. She's also dealing ridiculous AoE damage in addition to that, which would make her the most broken unit in the game because she cheats. She's not the only one dealing damage. The dot character that she's with, or the dots, the characters are also dealing that damage, and she's amplifying it. So she's like not just DPSing herself, everyone else is DPSing, but it's all coming from her ability to re-trigger dots. This is why I'm saying Kafka literally has the potential to break the goddamn meta. And even if she doesn't even trigger break dot, which she should, she's still looking like a very disgusting DPS. Hopefully that drove the point home to you guys, especially to the people going around saying she's mid. She is not looking anywhere near the realms of mid. She is looking to ascend to the realm of the fucking gods, truly. Hopefully I brought you guys some value. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the flip side.